Banana Bowl Dynasty League. It is I, your commissioner, Max Mosier, here again today, joining you on a late Wednesday night. Frazzled, kerfuffled, bamboozled, whatever you want to say. Glad to be here after a lot of pre-show shenanigans. I'm here today with currently tied for first place, 2-0, Robbie Sauter. Robbie, how are you?
I'm doing great. The beard is filling in well.
Stop grooming your beard around me. I don't like that.
It's Tua and O, baby. Tua
Yeah.
and O.
So, insight into today's show. Apparently, Joey is dying to be on the podcast because he's texting me every day about it. My plan was have Jordan do it. Jordan getting set up. He's like, "Oh, my computer doesn't work." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I have a monitor, but I don't have a computer." Don't still know what that means, but here we are.
Sure.
He's got a fancy new apartment, but he doesn't have the ability to stream. It's 2022. I don't get it, but here we are. Yeah, so then I pivot to Elliot because I'm like, okay, Elliot, I wasn't going to go till down the line. He's like, I don't have a computer either. So now I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this with Elliot and Jordan?
A surprising 1-1 Elliot.
Yeah, surprising 1-1 Elliot. So then, so you were like, oh, well, I wish I'm bummed on the third choice. Well, Robbie, the thought was next week, send you the invite if you went 3-0 for the narrative of, oh my goodness, surprise Robbie. Because 2-0 Robbie, he's confident, but he's not cocky. 3-0 Robbie, that's the guy that people want to listen to.
2-0 Robbie put up the most points in the league this week.
Yeah, I don't know. 2-0 Robbie he's a guy.
2-0 Robbie is definitely a man.
Have you ever been 2-0? Like, and I know you won 1 year. But
when I won that year, I went like 11-3. So yeah,
that's right. So I was gonna say, like, but have you had this hot of a start? I don't know. Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I won my first 7 that year, something like that.
Gotcha. Well, here's the crazy part. So I've been going back, just curious, like, because the scores have been massive this year.
Yeah, and the top teams are legit.
Top teams are legit, and like even if you're top 6 scoring right now, you're scoring 140. Last year's top average. So here's 2021's average per game. Robert averaged 148 per game. I averaged 133. Crazy. Keegan averaged 132. Joey averaged 128. Then 5 would be Zane with 113.
And the drop off is dramatic.
Right, but the point I make is like last week, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams were better than the average by 15 points minimum of last season.
But then if you look at I would love to know what the like low average score is, because
so the low average you're talking about last year of 2021 was 90.3 of Nick.
Okay.
I have all the years. You could tell me. You could ask a year, and I can tell you.
No, I'm just interested in like how big that divider is, because I feel like this year it's much worse. I feel like the bottom teams, and I'm feeling confident now, but I feel like I'm firmly in the middle. Me and Zane, I feel like, are very middle-ish. I think I'm better than middle. I think I'm a potential playoff team.
Sure.
But yeah, the drop off to Nick and Elliot, who has been surprising so far.
Sure.
And that other guy that can't walk good. That guy's name is. He says
Aaron Dalkey.
Yes.
That's
Aaron,
the guy. Yeah,
Aaron. Dalkey, the guy whose houses we play in.
That's it. Yeah, Brian's house. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just going to be interesting. I just was curious because the scores have been so big the last 2 weeks. Like, are we going to see a drop off, or is that just this new NFL caring about points? So we're just going to see inflation in numbers. There's better receivers now, it feels like, across the league versus just one team.
Right.
Or like a set of teams, I guess is what I should say, not just one. So it's just interesting. You can check all these stats we're referencing on the overall what's the
shared drive? It's a shared drive, whatever.
Overall fantasy statistics tab. Click that below and you can see what your scores are. We keep up to date, and I'm glad I do it for this reason, because I was just curious after last week. I mean, there's been some significantly higher scores, it feels like, through 2 weeks. I would imagine the average will start kicking in. People will start having bad weeks soon. But very fascinating. Robbie, thank you for being on, even though Jordan can't walk or use a computer. It's just like, I mean, what can Jordan do at this point?
I can both walk and use a computer.
And you can grow a beard. That's a layup of a self-deprecation joke, but like, I mean,
I
gotta say it.
I'm also 2-0.
You are.
The
And I'm
football
not.
team is 3-0. So you know what that feels
JV
like,
or
at least.
JV or the Storm.
Oh no, we don't talk about JV. We don't talk about JV. We don't talk about JV. No,
Yeah,
no.
I don't blame
no.
you. I don't blame you. We're
It's
both
like
in
you
our
don't-
gear today too.
We
Little
are,
selfless plug for each squad today.
I mean, when you think about it, I've only been home from practice for an hour and 40 minutes.
I know. God bless you
Like-
for helping us out.
It's crazy.
God bless you. The people were begging for it. Let's get into the game of the week. Keegan versus
Yes.
me. Keegan wins 152 to 141. Disappointing from the sense of I could have won this game if I played Christian Kirk at 25.8 instead of Terry McLaurin. It was a decision made around the 11:38 a.m. Central mark.
But who's
on
going to knock
Sunday.
you for it? No one's going to knock you for that.
I don't think a lot of people will. I think in hindsight, I just, for me, the fear was playing James Robinson and Christian Kirk. I felt like I had to roll the dice on one Jaguar.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I'm like, you know what? I actually feel confident that the Jaguars can do both of it moving forward. But it took a loss to feel that. But Keegan with a huge Monday night game from Jalen Hurts, 32.27, watching the Vikings just get obliterated. Part of the inflation, I think, too, in scores, Robbie, I'm seeing is just we had significant difference in adding defensive scores this offseason. So, we've added pass breakups to the defensive strategies. So I think we're going to see some higher defensive scores, 23 to 31, excuse me. Keegan got 31 on Sunday. That was a difference maker for him. And for the second week in a row, I get beat on special teams, which is unusual. Devontae Adams has a really poor performance. McLaurin just gets the average 12.2. And I mean, Keegan's running backs weren't as established or well attacked as mine, but it didn't matter in the long haul.
Right.
Didn't matter in the long haul for Keegan. Thoughts on this game?
You got a good performance out of Zach Ertz. I mean, that's something you got to be at least a little excited about.
Yeah.
But and Kyle Pitts continues to be a massive disappointment for Keegan. He might,
and that's a good thing for the league. I think Sutton is not playing at the level that we thought he was going to play at either. Yes, he got 19. I'm not poo-pooing his performance.
Russell Wilson is not playing very well, and I'm kind of thrilled that I made that trade.
Sure.
Thrilled about it.
Right. And I think Mixon I think the Bengals struggling is giving Keegan some issues with Chase and Mixon, right?
Absolutely.
And then Najee Harris with the foot issue. I just think there's some things from a curse perspective, if you're a believer in the curse, that make you excited. Keegan is still 2-0, tied with you for first in Mary's house right now. But it looks like there's more.
Mary's house.
It appears there are more weaknesses on this squad than we thought.
Definitely potential for it, and he has to make the right calls. I think, especially once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, he's gonna have to make some decisions. And Godwin, I mean, Godwin and Gage both being hurt is 100%. That's a curse doing. Both of those guys being hurt off and on already this season is definitely the curse.
Bad week to also be a Gabriel Davis guy when Stephon Diggs just absolutely obliterates the Titans.
Well, yeah, I mean, when the number one wide receiver goes out, it's always, that number two is always going to step up. I saw the same thing from Mike Williams this week. Keenan Allen went out and Mike Williams stepped up. So it's always big when the number one goes down. The number two, has to eat. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes
the last two podcasts, you and I, this one in the Infinity Roast podcast, episode 135, if you haven't heard it, check it out. You've been just on fire. I just want to say that. You've been great. You're on, I don't know what you're doing, but keep going. Elliott gets win number one on the season against Isaac, who is surprising preseason favorite Isaac was, even with Lamar scoring 42. The rest of his team essentially does nothing. Nobody's scoring more than 12.8 with Marquise Brown. Isaac's team looks very, very just disheveled is the only word I can really use. His bench, yes, Drake London with 24, but I understand why Isaac wouldn't make that play over Juju, Marquise, and Kareem Hunt. I totally get it.
Yep.
Elliott gets a big win, 108 points, but still enough for him to get his first win of the season. And going against a really, really depleted me next week, I think Elliott has a chance to come out 2-1 and really make a statement early on in week 3. Are you more surprised that Elliott won this or more surprised that Isaac lost?
Isaac might have the most boom or bust roster ever. I feel like Isaac could easily score over 200 points sometime this season. Like, and it's just going to be like amazing. But then the next week he'll score like 110.
He's
So
got a lot of guys too that like preseason they were like, oh, I really, really like Kareem Hunt. I really,
absolutely,
really like
right.
Cam Akers, Travis Etienne,
Etienne's
Drake
going to
London.
go off.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
George Kittle being out's another part, right? I mean, that's another piece of the pie here that Isaac needs that diligent, consistent 15 points per game. That would have gotten him in at least a conversation here. I mean, 15 points would have significantly made this game closer for him and Elliott. And I think Elliott was going to win this game no matter what, but Isaac's got to fill these holes. It appears rebuild is still in Isaac's future.
Yeah, I
at
think
least in the short term.
I know for a fact that Isaac is getting offers on some of these guys. I know for a scientific fact that that's happening.
Really? You've run it through the scientific method?
I have the inside scoop on the scientific method that Isaac is getting offers for some of his players. So I think
I apologize. We're getting an alert.
We're
getting an alert. Robbie, I'm sorry. I have an alert. Oh my, thank you so much. Just handed this. This is a report. Robbie, this is fresh off the market.
Okay.
This comes straight from somebody in the room with the greatest show on turf. The greatest show on turf has made an announcement. They are no longer going to be doing your next posts until Zane and Mark apologize for their shenanigans in the group chat. Oh my goodness, Robbie. Thoughts? I'm fresh off of it's fresh. That's hot. It's right here in the document.
That document looked 100% very fresh.
Very fresh.
Probably still warm. Definitely looks like it was still warm. Yeah. That we might as well just end the league now.
Do we fold? Is this the end of the is this the last episode of the podcast?
This is it. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know why you would publish this. It's just if he's not going to do the your next post, and Mark no longer has to do the power rankings, and Beef isn't here to make fun of, and Jardine still can't walk, why are we even doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
I'm not winning in the regular season. I mean, what's supposed to happen at this point?
And Zane texted me the other day asking for a trade. Like, what's going on? Dr. Doom's
falling down. What? The world is literally coming to an end. Zane asked for a trade.
Zane offered a trade. It was bad, and I wasn't going to take it.
The details that would threaten any chance of him doing it again.
We don't do that here, but he did offer a trade.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, I told him, I was like, I love you. I love that you're asking me for a trade. Absolutely not. Terrible trade.
Hold on. On a scale of Max, because I give pretty good offers, to Joey. Or is it Joey or Zach? Who's worse?
Zach.
Is it
it's
Zach?
100% Zach.
Okay, so on a scale of Max to Zach, enticing. How enticing was it? Rate it based using a person in our league. And you can't use Zane. Anybody but Zane.
I would rate it on a Jardine level. So pretty low. So
that's low, but it's certainly enough for me to pick
up
the bottom look.
Right. Yeah, and I looked at it and I did think about it. It was one of those like, and then I did a little like 40 more seconds of research, and I was like, never. Nope, won't do it.
I love that.
Yeah. So it was like a minute of thought to it, and that was it. Whereas Zach's offers are a literal second. It's a literal, I read it, and then I'm like, no. Yeah. So like,
you're hard pressed to find a worse offer than from Zach Dawson.
Right. It has to include Julio Jones and a third for your best player.
Hey, for the 10th year in a row, I've been trying to get rid of Julio Jones. I've had him since before the league began.
Yeah. Right. Hey, I did offer for Julio Jones, but like, he's a 32-year-old wide receiver. I did not offer a lot. I was interested in the idea of Julio Jones, but not for a RB1 or a wide receiver 1, which he wants.
I would assume, and also the week to trade Julio was week 1, right? Like when the stat came out that he was running faster than he has ever been. Like,
absolutely.
That's the moment. Like,
the fact that he did,
that was the moment. I still don't understand how he was still on Zach's team after that, but that's either another.
Like, Julio Jones is only a good player on a win now team.
Yeah,
because he shouldn't be rostered if you're trying to rebuild. He's too old.
Yeah, so like an Elliott, I don't really know who's ready to win now after that.
Right. I don't know.
Back to Robert and the breaking news that was asked pre-show to share on the show. So Robbie, that was a joke. That was not fresh hot paper.
No, I definitely looked. You burned
I
yourself.
know,
I
I
heard you.
know, I know.
I
You
was
thought
here.
that was real. It's not.
Mm.
Do you have a are you picking a side on the Joey Mark versus Robert debacle, or are you just like, this is ridiculous? This is a weird year. From an analytical perspective, talking head, what are you thinking?
I don't care about either side, but Joey has the worst bits ever right now. Like, they're
Sure.
not funny. They're only funny to Joey, I think, and that's why he just keeps going with them. So I'm siding with Robert.
So it's like a situation where it's like, oh, this guy loves me, and everybody's like, no, I don't like that guy. I'm not saying that's about Joey, but I'm saying, like, the friend that you're like, oh, these guys love me. The fringe guy, right? You go to a party, there's a fringe guy.
Yeah.
These guys love me. Like, no, we don't love you. These guys are hilarious. Like, it's that kind of, it's that kind of temperature we're feeling right now from Joey.
Yes. Yeah. Joey needs to stop with his terrible bits. He's laughing at them. No one else is ever. It's very annoying. And if that's his goal, he's doing a great job. So, I mean, kudos to him. He's driving me crazy with it.
It's a long season. It's a long season. And if you got to get in your opponent's heads, I mean, what better way than to say you're being positive?
Hey,
as the most negative person in the league.
If Joey can go this entire season doing that, I mean, kudos. Like,
there's no way. There's no way.
I will buy him a trophy.
Okay.
I'll buy him a trophy. If Joey doesn't go off the rails once this season, I'll get him a trophy.
He's gone off the rails already, as far as I'm concerned, with Robert. But I mean, this is going to be a huge blow for Joey. Here's why this is a huge blow for Joey, Robbie, because the league is going to revolt if we get into week 4, week 5, week 6 without this year next bit, because Mark will stand the line, because Mark has nothing better to do than stand the line right now. That's all Mark has to do.
Chaos.
He's got no job. He's just sitting around with the baby, and so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to make Robert mad." Blah 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 blah. Like, for Mark, this is all he's got, right? For Joey, I don't know if Joey has the discipline and time to do this with others pressuring him. Mark will not be pressured away from a bit, and I respect Mark for that.
The thing is, I think Mark really likes that GIF. I really like that GIF. But I only want Robert to use it. Yeah. So
I'm very fascinated to see. Obviously, we will not see that this week unless there's an apology. If I had to give an odds of an apology, it's probably 1,000 to 1 right now, maybe even more. Just don't see that happening.
You're pretty good at gambling, so yeah, I would say you're probably right.
Oh my gosh, you are on a roll tonight, Robbie. Robbie, get to downtown now. Right now, get on stage. You are phenomenal tonight. Oh my gosh. That was earned. So earned. Let's keep going down the list here. We're 17 minutes in, only 2 games in. This is
rapid fire these.
Rapid fire. Mark wins 121 to 109. Zane.
Wait. Okay. The one thing I want to hit on this is this not exactly what Robert said would happen?
100%.
It's exactly what he said would happen. And like, Mark his running backs were garbage this week, and he still won. Like,
Mark,
like that was the one week that he Mark could have been beaten like easily and lost, and he still won. So good for him.
It hurts too, but Zane could have made moves from the bench to prevent this.
Yeah.
But here we are. So yeah, he loses. I think Mark is 2-0, but Mark looks significantly weaker than he has in the past. I think this year we were looking as a league as like, hey, you know what? If somebody's going to take down Keegan, Mark is a favorite. But with the usage of Derrick Henry,
I would say Robert, but yeah.
And right now it's Robert. But I'm saying going into the season, Mark was called Team Spooky, right? He was voted that last year.
That's true.
So the point I make is like the numbers prove people thought he was the guy.
Right.
Jefferson has a bad week. Boo. Derrick Henry is not looking like the Derrick Henry of old. Taylor is struggling on this Colts team right now. Yes, Josh Allen looks great. And yes, Amari Cooper had a good game, but he's not nearly as consistent as other players are. And I just don't know if DK Metcalf is going to be worth it in long haul for Mark. It's going to be fascinating how Mark works this, because he has no draft picks, Robbie. So if he fails in the slightest, it's going to be brutal for Mark. I really personally, I want Mark to do well, because there needs to be at least 2 to 4 teams that can take down.
Absolutely.
Keegan. So we, as a league, we want Mark to do better. It's hilarious that Zane lost the way that Robert predicted, though, right? Like, it's just it's brilliant.
That's my favorite thing.
I'm going to save your game for the last, because I want to talk about it. Jordan beats Nick. Essentially, Nick a bye week with 52 points. Jordan with 123, a stronger performance for Jordan. Actually, it wasn't a bad day. Very good day for him. 32 from Aaron Jones is the highlight with 25 from Jared Goff. I mean, I just don't see how Jordan's going to win long term with that. But in terms of Jordan getting proper seating for Banana Bowl purposes, he's excited about that. Robert gets a huge win. I think a lot of people last week were wondering if Zach was for real. He doesn't have a bad game, 116, but it certainly doesn't match the 164. I will have an exercise of caution, though, for Robert. His running backs continue to struggle, Robbie.
Yep.
Is that a weakness for him? Do you see him making a big trade this season?
I have always seen his running backs as a weakness. I mean, Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook. I've never been a big believer in Fournette. And I think his bench running backs are volatile. If he plays the right guy, it's a brilliant move. But if he plays the wrong guy, he's going to get 4 points, And
then you're looking at the whole, why did you play J.D. McKissick over Leonard Fournette conversation?
Right. And you could play Tony Pollard, but is that the week that Zeke finally, Zeke eats or whatever? Like, I would be worried about him, or worried about his running backs, but does that matter? Because he has Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs and Mark Andrews.
I mean, yeah, that's a hell of a combo, right?
Even with Justin Herbert,
even Renfro in the flex spot is not a bad play,
right?
In the context of he's going to get you 10 to 20 a game minimum, right? He's going to get targeted 8 to 10 times. So I think for Robert's perspective, this is the zero RB strategy right now. And I'm not speaking ill of Dalvin Cook. He's a great running back. I think this year, Dalvin Cook is going to see decrease in production because KOC is going to throw the ball more with Minnesota. Yep. Yeah, I agree, Robbie. I think it is this year a weakness, but I mean, the other stuff is going to prop him up. I still don't think it's not. I still think he is very much a strong contender to win this.
It's just the thing with Robert's team is those 4 guys that we just mentioned by themselves most weeks can beat about half the teams in this league.
Game changers. They're game changers. Yeah. And he's got 4 of them.
Right.
I mean, this should have been game of the week was you and Joey, right? I mean, 171 to 160. You get the plus 10 from Tua and Waddle. Were you surprised to see Tua and Waddle do this? I mean, you've had a lot of confidence in Waddle for the longest time.
Right.
You do play Tua, so I mean, you do essentially get to go, I told you so in that regard.
Yep.
But what were your thoughts on this game afterwards?
This is wild, dude. This is kind of what I didn't think it was going to be this crazy, but this is kind of what I thought that team could be with Tua and Waddle and Hill. And I was very happy to play Tua while he has Hill. So no matter what Till does, I get a piece of it.
Also against a quality defense. Like Baltimore ain't no slouches.
A very good defense.
Yeah.
And then, and I had a favorable matchup where Mike Williams was now the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers. He had a good week. But I'm not totally surprised by Waddle and Tua having good games. I'm surprised that every receiver you could have played for the Dolphins had a good game. Like, for him to get it to both of them 11 times is crazy.
Robbie, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I think Tua is legit. I think this game proved it. And I think the Buffalo Bills should be very concerned about this because the Buffalo Buffalo's looked tremendous the last 2 weeks. But this is the first time I've been like, man, Buffalo might not win this division simply because Miami can keep pace. For Miami to be able to come back from 21 down.
Daniel is a magician.
I thought McDaniel was great. I did not think he was this right now, what he's doing on offense. I mean, what these young coaches are doing on offense right now, the game is changing before our eyes, and it's really fun to watch. Really, really pumped for McDaniel. And honestly, I'm pumped for Tua. I think he's a good guy and good for him given what happened with Miami previously. Right. Robbie, good for you, man. Huge win against Joey. As far as I'm concerned, Joey should be livid. He was the 3rd top scorer this week.
Yep.
It's a very similar boat as me. Like, just running into a chainsaw here. He's 1-1. So
I will say that I'm happy that I would have beat him without the bonus points. I was very worried about that. I was like, I really want to beat him without the bonus points. So I'm happy that I was able to do that.
Just as a point of pride or why?
Just a point of pride. Yeah. Just be like, I still beat you. I didn't even need the bonus points.
Sure.
But he was texting me all weekend, like saying good game and everything. And like, we got to he kept that good game. You won already. And he was doing that at like 1:30 in
Joey
the afternoon.
Does that, and he tries to play the I'm being humble approach, and it is incredibly infuriating.
he does the whole karma thing, and he must believe in karma, I guess. I
He
don't
believes
know.
in karma. It's
But he
ridiculous.
really does. But like I think he
It's
does that
asinine.
but here's the thing. As soon as he started doing that, his guy like Chubb blows up. Hill blows up.
Sure.
Like,
You're leaning into it. You're like, yeah, maybe there's something to it here.
well, I don't know. He figured out something. Whatever he's doing seemed to work.
Yeah,
And
whatever.
then it's
Yeah,
Monday Night Football, and the Buffalo Bills are playing, and he's like, "Well, it was a good game." It's like, dude, kickers go for 18 points and a field goal to win the game all the freaking time. I was like, I am
yeah.
not saying it's over.
Especially in our league with the bonus points, right? Like I
Right.
think the blessing of our league has been the bonus points. Just it adds another dimension, I think, to
Yep.
what could occur. Yeah, I totally agree. Keegan goes to 6-5 all time against me. Elliot goes to 4-5 all time against Isaac. Mark on Zaners. Mark goes to 6-2 all time against Zane. Robbie goes to 3-4. You increase your deficit to 3-4
Wait, what
against
did you say my name was?
Robbie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's bold. Bringing it back. Bringing it back. I like that. Jordan goes to 7-4 all time against Nick. And then Robert over Zach is 7-1. 7-1. Robert is absolutely obliterating Mark and Zach and Jordan. He is 6-1 against Mark, 7-1 against Zach. Great for Robert. Let's go to week 3. And as always, our guest chooses the game of the week. What is your game of the week, Robbie?
This is probably the easiest game of the week to pick. There was two ways I'm looking at this, but there's one clear cut winner, and it has to be Keegan versus Robert. There's no other choice.
Agreed. Jalen Hurts against Justin Herbert. DeAndre Swift against Dalvin Cook. Najee Harris against Leonard Fournette. Jamar Chase versus Cooper Kupp. That's going to be a great matchup.
Right.
Cortland Sutton against Stephon Diggs. Kyle Pitts against Mark Andrews. Joe Mixon against somebody named Noah Brown. Receiver for Dallas, is who Robert currently has in the flex. I mean, is this arrogant or is this just
you
a weird
think
strategy?
he's got to start somebody else, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. Maybe we're mocking him and this guy's going to go off. We'll find out. McPherson against Gay and Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. Good for you, Robert. Good for you. Robbie, who you got and why?
This one is tough. I think it's so close. But I'm looking at it. I'm trying to pick just through the matchups. If Keegan's guys do what they're capable of, and I'm a big believer in DeAndre Swift, and I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a dude as well. I think Keegan's going to get Robert here. I think Fournette not having the year that we thought he would. I think Dalvin Cook's probably going to go off because he's playing Detroit. Detroit can score a lot of points, but they also give up plenty of points. And if I don't know about his flex spot, like Noah Brown's a sneaky play, but like, is that the guy? He had 20 points. He had 11 points. He had 20 points. Like
Noah Brown is sneaky is not even the right word. Like I don't even know what would a synonym to sneaky be, or like
I don't know.
Sneaky?
Like he's buying into the hype of that guy having 30 points through 2 weeks, I guess. Like,
yeah.
So like he could play Pollard, but then you're looking at, that's a boomer bust play. Like McKissick, who are they playing?
They're playing do you think he's trying to play a little like, hey, I know on the podcast they're going to talk about this, putting a fake lineup out,
Robert does have more free time than a lot of us, so there's a possibility.
Robert's the kind of guy to do that. He's totally the kind of guy to be like, yeah, that's not my real roster.
I'm looking at it and the Commanders play Philadelphia, and it might be check down city for JD McKissick.
Renfro to not play
who's
Renfro? Well, it's Monday night too. Do you think he trying to make them? That's it. This is the reason, Robbie. It's the Monday night game.
Right. Yeah.
He's trying to make that Monday night game a sweat for everybody.
There you go. I like that.
There it is.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to Keegan here.
I am too, actually. I'm with you.
It's very close. Like it's going to I'm thinking like 142 to 140.
No, I'm going to actually I think Robert is going to be tilting this week. So I'm going to go 110 to 150. I think Keegs is going to blow him out this
Really?
week.
Really? You
I
think this
really
is a
like the
down?
matchups for Chase. I like the matchup for Sutton, and I like the matchup for Pitts. I think there's some great matchups here on Keegan's side. I think DeAndre Swift could do well against Minnesota with what we saw last week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is going to absolutely obliterate Washington. Jalen Hurts is another guy. The Eagles looked damn good on Monday night.
Yep.
And I'm not saying Minnesota's defense is like elite, but I am saying the turnaround from Rodgers to Hurts was fascinating. I
Right.
think Robert can score. So I guess I shouldn't say 110. I'm going to say Robert's going to score 130. I'm going to take Keegan 150 to 130. I think Robert will not have as big of a day as he's had, but it will be a big day in comparison to other teams.
Right.
Nonetheless, I'm going to take Keegan in the upset.
It's
I
going to
don't
be a
want
top
that.
5 scoring game for both
Yes.
of them.
I don't want that, but I think that's where we're headed, and I think Keegan just has a nice start to the season ahead of him. But we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, that would have been my game of the week too if it was my choice, Robbie. So I think that's a great call. Elliot. Before I get into that, Robert versus Keegan. Keegan is 4-3 all time against Robert. So Robert
That's
has a chance
interesting.
to even the score up in matchup number 8. Me versus Elliot in a match for Max to try to get on the board. First time starting 0-2, I believe, in league history. I don't think I've ever started 0-2 in league history. I'd have to
So
go back
your
and
only
look.
other really bad year was our first year, right? You were like
No,
500.
second year.
Was it second year?
Second year, I was 6-7.
Okay.
Second year. So, but I think I won one of the first 2 games. Elliot actually is 5-4 all time against me, dating back to Brett. People will remember Brett won 3 times against me to start. So Mariota versus Murray is some of the top matchups. Excuse me. Kirk will be getting a start. Christian Kirk will be getting a start in the flex for me versus Tyler Lockett. Who do you have, Robbie, and why?
You know what? I'm actually, and I'm legit not pulling your chain here. I would say there's a chance that Elliott could pull this off.
Yeah.
I really think that's a real possibility because there's a chance Jimmy Robinson, for some reason this week, doesn't get the play.
Sure.
There's a chance that Curtis Samuel, and he pulled Garrett Wilson from the taxi squad, continue to go off. Nyheim Hines is playing Kansas City. He's gonna get checkdowns. Like, and this could, and here's where I think it's a win or lose for you. If Patterson outscores Eckler, I think you lose this game.
Last year, Patterson had a big game for Elliott against me, and I won, but it was much closer than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I think there's a very real chance I'll be 0-3.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna be ballsy and say that you're gonna lose, Max. You're gonna lose 127 to 119.
Well, we'll find out.
Like, and that's not a slight. You have a very good team, but like I think
I'm not. No, I'm very well aware of the situation I'm in right now. It's 2 great teams I played to start, and now I'm in the situation where it's like, all right, time to play bad against one of the bad teams I played. Right. Yeah, that's my fear. It's not.
You're a top 4 scorer, but you're 0-2. Is that where you're at?
Top 5 score, I believe.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Mark versus you, Robbie. This would have been the other candidate for game of the week because this is kind of the prove it or get out game. Yeah. Because I think Keegan and Robert are both universally understood as they're going to be there down the line of the 6.
This Keegan, Robert, and Joey, I would say for sure.
Sure, I think
you would have been in that, but starting 0-2 is a tough hole.
It's tough. We'll see. Right? I think this is just a game that's super important for both of you. From the perspective of the league, Mark winning would give a tie with Keegan. But on the flip side, maybe you're somebody that's like, hey, you know what? I really don't want Keegan to get that first round bye. And
I mean, I'd also be tied. Be tied for Keegan.
That's what I'm more so saying, like, who do you want to be tied with Keegan? Do you want Keegan to have a 2 seed, or do you want Keegan to be out of the first round? I'm not. I think everybody wants him out of the first round, but the point I make is more of at this point in the season, at this juncture.
Yeah.
Is it more important that Robbie's 3-0 or that Mark is 3-0? I don't know the answer to that question. Mark has been struggling. I talked about that at the top of the show. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think Mark is due for a very, very big game. Yeah. I don't think it's this week, though. I don't think it's this week. I think Tua and Waddle are going to go off again. I think this Buffalo game is so important to Miami. I think they know it's so important. This, as far as I'm concerned, this Buffalo Miami game needs to be flexed to Sunday night. This is such
how is
a
that a
big game.
12 p.m. game?
It is ridiculous that this game is at noon on Sunday. As far I'll be honest, I'm. It would be tempting for me to watch it over the Vikings at this point because it's that big of a game for the NFL season. Game. Miami looks so good right now. But yeah, I don't think Mark's going to have a massive game, but I think you're going to have to put up at least 130 to beat Mark. I think I'm going to take I'm going to take Mark by the score on the document. I'm going to give you a couple more. I'm going to say 131 to 120, but I'll tell you what, if you score 140, I think you can win this bad boy. And I think that's just the reality of kind of where Mark's at as a squad. I think his average is going to be a little lower this year. But again, Josh Allen could any week.
Josh Allen can just go off.
Justin
Jefferson is probably going to have a 40-point game. Like, and I'm ready for him to have a 40-point game.
At least 2 games this year where Allen and Knox are going to connect.
Yeah.
And connect big in games. Those are the games that Mark's going to win. He needs to have those games against teams like this, right? He needs to win these kinds of matchups.
Right.
Yeah, I just think that's a reality right now. But no, I'm gonna take Mark, but I'm fascinated to see how close the score will be. Again, Robbie, you win. That's a huge. I said it last week. I wanted you on next week if you won because that's a different feeling. Beating Mark, who is Team Spooky, is a different feeling.
Team Spooky.
I
think there's a chance. It's really, I think, going to come down to his running backs. If Jonathan Taylor can't get going and that Indianapolis offense is still as bad as it was last week they're playing a better defense this week, and they're going to get, if they continue to be bad and Derrick Henry and the regression of Ryan Tannehill continues, like I think they're getting
bad, dude. Titans are bad.
And I would say projection wise, they're still getting love just for their names.
They're bad,
not for what they're doing.
No, to lose to the Giants, they're bad.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't lose that game, I would have said they're bad. To even be close to the Giants.
So, and I got to make a decision on tight end and my flex spot. I don't know if I'll play Antonio Gibson because that Philadelphia defense just stifled Dalvin Cook. And I don't really have a great choice for...
You didn't stop Swift, though.
For tight end. Yeah, true. I don't have a great choice for tight end because Dalton Schultz is hurt. So I don't. Sure. So I got some decisions to make. I don't know if this is finalized yet.
Battle of 0-2, Zane versus Isaac. Isaac's projected to win 117 to 107. Oh, forgive me. Let me go back real quick. Mark and Isaac, Mark and Robbie, excuse me, real quick. Robbie, you are 1-7. Mark is 7-1 all time against you. 7-1 all time.
That's rough. That's
huge deficiency.
That's deficiency. Not good.
Zane versus Isaac, as I talked about, 117 to 107. The battle of 2 guys that desperately need a win.
This was my other choice. This is my other choice for game of the week.
This is like if you lose this one,
you're done.
0-3, you're in trouble, right? You are in big trouble. And I think Zane needs this win more than Isaac personally. I think there's a path to Isaac coming back from 0-3. I do not think there's a path for Zane to come back 0-3. I think Zane needs to win this one. But I'm already going to go out and say this, even with the Zach and Nick matchup. I'm going to pick Isaac in a landslide. I think this is the Buttered Biscuits game of the week.
Ooh.
I'm going to, because I think Kittle will be back on Sunday night. I think London will be against Seattle.
Yep.
Kareem Hunt is still in the flex for a Thursday night game. We'll see if Isaac gets him out of there. That would be.
Does Isaac not understand that that's not what you do?
He may not know. He may not understand fantasy football.
I don't think he knows. He doesn't know that.
But
Saquon Barkley needs to be in that spot.
That Miami
Monday night.
That Miami game. I think Chase Edmonds is going to have a chance to be boom or bust in that. I think this is your Butter Biscuits game of the week candidate outside of Zach and Nick. I think,
dude, you just read the name. You read the names off, and you're like, scrub elite, and it's just all like Isaac has some elite players that he has to get a perfect lineup, and I think that's his issue every single week.
I think this is that 200-point game you're talking about. I think this is it. I think this is the one, and I think this is going to devastate Zane. We're going to see Zane try to trade.
He's already tried. He's already started.
It's crazy.
It's the beginning. World. It's begun.
Isaac all time against Zane is 4-5. Zane is currently winning that. Zach versus Nick. Does Nick have a chance? I mean, we're at the point in the season where like, do I even like break down
Let's
Nick's team
look.
or the way he's playing?
Yeah, I mean, how many
Because I
weeks
think
did you give me
Zach's team
last
is.
year?
I think Zach's team is very good. Let me be clear. I think last week to lose the way he did, tough, but I think he's still very good.
Dude, Amon St. Brown is
He's the real deal, dude.
an absolute stud.
He's the real deal. I tried
Absolute
all off season to
stud.
get him. I couldn't get him.
I'm
I'm on Rostin.
I same.
Yeah, I was gonna say Zach. Great job holding on to him because
I
is awesome.
think he should trade him to get a running back because
sure
Wolf,
right.
like that would be how he loses. I think, as if those running backs continue to be who they are, and you know,
I mean, big pickup too for Nick with Garoppolo. I mean, Nick has a viable starter now at quarterback.
Right. I think it's just Nick has to play a perfect lineup, and if he doesn't, he scores 50 points.
I don't think this is gonna be a Butter Biscuits game, but obviously I'm gonna pick Zach.
So. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Zach as well, but I think it's gonna be closer than we think. I think it's gonna be within 15 points.
I really think Isaac's gonna butter Zane's biscuits. I'm just kind of calling it now. And finally, Joey versus Jardine, battle of the 1-1s. This would be really big again for Jordan, who last year a lot of people were like, "Oh, how did he get even in the conversation for the playoffs?" Right.
Yeah.
To get a win against Joey in this circumstance and really take him down another notch and really attack the positivity bit, it would be interesting. But Joey is projected to win 134-112. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it would be very hard for Joey to lose this game. Once again, like Jordan's going with a double R running backs against one of the best defenses in the league. So that's very questionable to me. Like he has to do it because he doesn't have another running back to play unless Hilliard is cleared. Because I think Hilliard might be the next
not
man
over
up
AJ Dillon. Not over AJ Dillon.
It's tough, but I don't love that.
If CeeDee Lamb goes down, Jordan is so screwed. If CeeDee Lamb ever drops Jordan would be worse than Nick.
Yeah, it's getting rough. It's getting rough out there. He's got to sell, and I would say that's the difficult part. It's like you have both Green Bay running backs. Do you sell both of them, and you just take what you can get? Because I've looked at his roster and I've thought about sending offers, and I'm like, I don't know which one I would want right now.
Well, and he doesn't have first round picks.
Right. So like you need to trade those for like younger, like maybe not fully proven running backs or picks. Like, because what we know from being in this league is that if you're in the middle for an extended period of time, you're dead. Like, because that's Zane. That's been Zane the entire league. He's just in the middle of the league. He's never the worst and he's never the best, but he's never gotten any better because he doesn't make any moves.
Sure.
It's like you have to eventually make a decision to start making moves. So because I would say I'm kind of in that same boat, but I make moves to hopefully get better.
And it's early, right? Like there's a chance that, Mark and you could lose 2 games. I win 2 games. Zane wins 2 games.
Yeah.
Isaac wins 2 games. All of a sudden it's 2-2 at a lot of people. And it's just more even, right? Like 2 games in is just difficult, but it is a significant statistical advantage to be in the position you're in right now, right?
The thoughts creep in. You have to eventually decide. You can decide to sell those guys and try to get guys that fill your holes and maybe make a run for it, or you plan for the future.
Sure.
Yeah. Got to make a decision.
Championship Banana Bowl. Who you got?
Championship. Oh gosh, I didn't even think about this. I'm going to go. I think Robert gets there this year. I think it happens. Here I have to. They would have to be on opposite sides, or I guess not. No, they wouldn't. It would just depend on how it lands. I think Robert makes it. I think Joey doesn't make it. You know what? I think I'm going to pick you and Robert.
Why are people still picking me?
Because I think this is the year that Max conquers adversity early.
This is ballistic. You're doing the Joey bit.
You're doing
the Joey bit.
No. You're going to make a move that significantly helps your squad, and it's going to make the other person that made the move, like at first. Here's how I think it's going to go. you're going to make a move. People are going to question the move on your part at first. Then the players that you let go are going to just continue not to do well, and the person you get is going to do very well.
No, I'm not making.
That's what I think. You do this though.
We're one game away from blow up time.
Well,
we're one game away. We're an Elliott loss tonight. Elliott loss on. I'm just saying, an Elliott loss on Monday night, and we're moving on.
Currently buying. So
from a couple people that some people know who I'm talking to. I've talked to Isaac. I've talked to you. If you want in, come give me a holler. Eckler and Kamara, we are actively listening to offers.
Kamara is very interesting. I don't know. We talked a few weeks ago about his value, and I don't know where it is right now. Because
everybody has a different value on Kamara. Eckler is about universal.
Yeah.
And the price I'm asking for Eckler is not far-fetched, given the context of he's a win-now championship running back.
Absolutely.
However, it depends on, are you willing to pay it in week 3, right? When you get to week 9 and you're like, oh, I got a shot at this, then it's a lot easier.
That's when that's when if you're still doing if you have a losing record in week 9, someone is going to come knocking for.
And it is going to give the right price, right? They're going to give,
and they're going to have to sacrifice to get the right price.
Sure.
I think we need to talk about how, if you're going to talk to Keegan about trading, you can't lose that trade. Like, you have to dominate
Keegan
that trade.
Is masterful, man,
and he has to pay the champion tax.
Yeah,
there is a champion tax in our league. You don't give him free players.
Sure.
So I want to make that clear. We have to remember this, because Keegan is still the enemy. I know everyone likes Keegan. Keegan's the enemy.
No. Yeah. Like, screw Keegan. I mean, Keegan.
It hasn't been talked about enough. It has not been talked about enough.
And that's not fair to previous champions. You, Joey, Robert, Mark. Obviously, last year. No, not even close. Keegan is an absolute menace to society, as far as I'm concerned. If I could cut off his ankles and reattach his foot to his leg, I would do it. I think for me, I think Keegan this year, it feels like the threat of him winning is significantly less than past, which ironically makes me wonder if I'm just too comfortable.
Because
I look at Robert, you, Zach, Joey. I mean, even me to an extent of, like, down the line, if things were to align better, Kamara's ribs get better, and then I feel better. But, like, I think there's just significantly more threats for Keegan than there have been in past. I mean, we talked about it at the top of the show. The quantity of points being scored right now are ridiculous, even from teams like Elliott, who are just supposed to be bad. It'll be fast. I'm very interested at the end of the year to see what the average ends up being for everybody as an ebbs and flows. And you can see even, like, the chart below, like Isaac's climb the last 2 years to excellence has been significant in comparison to past. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But
I'd be so mad if I was Isaac. I'd be so
mad. Isaac has to be more mad than me, right? He has to be more mad than me.
Oh, absolutely.
Week 3. Here's your preview. Enjoy it, guys. Tomorrow, don't forget to get your flex guys out of the spot, Isaac. And have a great rest of your week. Forgive me on these, like, delay on this stuff. It's been super busy in my job and, like, just wild. So I'm trying to get these out on Wednesday nights, I think, is kind of what I'm going to aim to do it. But we'll see how it goes. So, Robbie, thank you for filling in for Jordan today. I really appreciate that. And anything you want to say to Jordan?
Get a computer. Get an actual patio. Like, don't ask people to come over and then go on, like, the building's patio. Get your own patio.
Don't invite us over to watch the football game and then not have us over to watch a football game.
Yeah.
That happened. That happened.
What?
Week 1.
Does he not have a TV?
He has a TV, but he doesn't want to get Red Zone.
So what did you do?
We didn't go.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
That's the point.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, you obviously, yeah.
We should kick him out of the league.
We're at the point, right?
Yeah, I'm up for a vote.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.